everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are really excited today to bring you a bonus episode. We're talking about the latest season of Bridgerton, and it's going to be fun and kind of spicy, but maybe not so much spicy. But we're going to talk about it. It's going to be great. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Natasha's here.
Hi.
Yes. And Anne is here.
Hey, everybody.
And we have to give special props to Natasha for recording this at 4 a.m. her time.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Which I instantly regretted. I was like, I can do it, right? For Bridgerton, I'll wake up at 4. And 3:45, I put my alarm and I woke up and I was like, can I tell Rachel I'm not gonna come?
This is dedication to Bridgerton.
It's very big dedication.
So I am excited to talk to you all about this, but we should say there might be slightly more mature content than we typically do on the show. So if that's not your jam, then we got tons of other content that you can watch. So it's not going to be like our Sex and the City episode, but we might be a little bit. So there we go. That's your warning.
It's a good warning.
But Natasha, you have been on our podcast twice before, but for the record, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience who might have missed those episodes?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha. I'm from Singapore. I am a writer, film critic, and I'm a film editor over at Cultured Vouchers. And I teach English Lit in my day job. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Me.
So do you teach like Jane Austen and things like that?
We didn't pick Austen, so we're not teaching Austen, which is sad, So it comes down to like things like book length, right? Because Austen, like Pride and Prejudice is like 300 pages. And we're like, can the kids like read that? Which is sad. So it's like a measurement. So we chose The Great Gatsby. So we're doing Fitzgerald. Yeah, okay. So we're not doing Austen.
It's about 100 years difference, but that's good.
Because they have like a whole list of books, right, that you can pick from. Yeah, so we picked The Great Gatsby as our novel.
That's a good one, although it's not English. It's American.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm questioning your list already.
Our education system is wild. It's wild.
Very good. All right. Well, and Anne, how have you been doing?
So for those of you who don't know, I moved a month ago, pretty much, to the West Coast, to Los Angeles. And I used to live in Nashville, Tennessee, so it's very, very different.
Yeah.
So I'm still transitioning, still adjusting. It's weird. The biggest adjustment for me is taking bags to the grocery store, which I guess I'm telling myself because that means I never did that before. But, in California, they charge you 10 cents for every bag, and I'm not going to pay 10 cents. I'm really cheap. So I'm like, okay, I have to remember to take bags like all the time. And it's like really hard to get used to doing.
Yeah. I'm terrible at that.
It's like a really big adjustment. We bought so many, and we just need to just leave them in our car so we can always have them because just always need them.
A show that I used to listen to, they would have their own reusable shopping bags that they would sell and promote and whatever, and they had the steps for using the bags. Number 1, remember the bags.
Yes, number 1 is remember the bags, or they're useless to you. You'll be paying 10 cents anyway, so remember the bags.
Very good.
That's a big adjustment.
Well, we're excited to be talking about Bridgerton season 2, and before we do that, I think it's good to talk a little bit about season 1, and because we never really did a recap of it on the podcast, and I think we should talk about kind of what we thought about it and where we're at on it. And so, Anne, what about you? What did you think of season 1?
Wow, I loved it. I thought it was so different and so, full of romance and steam and dances and pretty outfits. And, I like that they do the modern music to the instrumentals. And I just loved it. I loved the beginning of that, opening us up to this world, and something probably odd, maybe for me it's not odd, but to other people it might be odd. It's so cool and weird at the same time to see like people of color being like accepted in like a period piece, and not being like just the servants, and just like the queen is black, and I don't know, it's like my brain has to keep telling myself like that it's okay, because it's just not something you ever see in this type of thing. And so that was really cool. And so I, obviously there's still, that's what Shonda created for this world. But
Yeah.
it's
I think
a cool thing.
they took what Hamilton did, and then kind of, not that I guess they were the first people to ever, have racially blind casting, but I think they took that and then kind of ran with it. And I found that really refreshing too. I do think it's one of the best reviews I've ever written, is my review of Bridgerton season 1. And I said in it, said that it's set in a fantasy version of Regency London. As such, it has no interest in the plight of the working class or the Yorkshire schools. It's not interested in diving into racism or class problems. Such issues are for other shows and series to tell. This show is made for one reason, and one reason alone: to bring pleasure to the viewers, mainly women. For example, if a Black woman will get more pleasure out of seeing the handsome Duke of Hastings be a Black man, then that's what they're going to do. This isn't about realism or historical accuracy. It doesn't waste time explaining casting choices or the setting. It might as well be on another planet and timetable. It's about eroticism, lust, and luxury, which all has to be hid under the rules of the time. That's very sexy and fun. So I really enjoyed it. It was fresh. It was escapism. It was something new. And every year I always pick a show to watch while I'm taking down my Christmas tree. And that year was my year of watching Bridgerton when I took down the tree. And it was like the perfect show for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, really good.
That's a good one. Yeah.
This year I did Arcane, which is a anime show, which is so good, but it was not as good for taking down the tree because it required my full attention. Whereas this was more escapism and things. But anyway, I really loved the show. I thought it was absolutely special, and something that felt like it was made for women. The way everything was shot, the way they talk about the female gaze, but I really thought that they did such a good job with the female gaze in this first season. And what about you, Natasha? What do you think of season 1?
2 words: ice cream. I have like a shirt that says Museum of Ice Cream, and I was gonna wear that. But I'm stumbling about in the dark, so I was like, it's okay, I won't. But yeah, I think because I read the books, right? So
yeah. So you read the books previous?
Yeah, before this, I've been a Julia Quinn fan since like my university days. So it's like every time I go to the library, it's like, where's the queue? And then I'll go there and see if she's got any new books. So I read all the Bridgerton novels way before. Yeah. So it was interesting to see like how it would kind of be adapted in relation to what I had read. Yeah. So I mean, Simon and Daphne's story is not my favorite, but I thought that they did an excellent job for everything you guys have mentioned. Yeah. Yeah.
And
the Duke, I mean, whew.
I mean, you put anyone against him, I'm gonna say him. So I'm sorry. I just I'm sorry, Viscount, but
oh no! Viscount's lost.
The Duke is just, I just love him. If they make him James Bond, you bet I will be there every time when they open with a movie. So
yeah,
I'm just saying, y'all do it.
Like I'm battling it out whether I want Henry Golding or yeah, because both of them would be incredibly dreamy. And Henry Golding's going to be in a Jane Austen film this year. He's going to be in the new Persuasion, which I'm Really excited. He's not the lead though, which I wish he was the lead.
Oh, who's he playing?
He's playing Mr. Elliot.
Oh no. All people.
I don't even know who's playing the lead. I forget, but anyway, yeah, he's playing Mr. Elliot, which is the other guy. The wrong guy.
Oh, the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Nasty one.
All right. Well, the other thing I think that is a big difference between season 1 and season 2 is that season 1 is a marriage story. I mean, they get married, I think, in the third or fourth episode, pretty early on. They get married. And so you're going to have more sensuality in season 1 than season 2 because it's about a married couple, as opposed to where Kate and Anthony is more your forbidden love. And then
I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, and you're a lady.
Yeah.
But I guess let's dive into overall thoughts on season 2. Of course, this is now coming from Anthony's perspective, the son, one of the sons. And overall, what did you think in comparison to season 1? What did you think, Anne, of season 2?
I think they're really different. Obviously, they're different characters. This is a male's perspective. Daphne's a female. It's different. It's, for me, this one is a lot more slow, and that kind of tortured me. A lot. I was like so tortured that I was like, But I enjoyed it. I really did. I really wish they would have moved. Like, I really wish that they would have moved everything up an episode so that they would have kissed at the very end of episode 5. So we wouldn't have to wait so long for them to like actually be able to be together and like it be okay. So that's just what I would have preferred, but I thought it was great. They have really good chemistry, amazing chemistry, and they both do a great job with their roles. And everything between them two was really great, besides it being slow. The Featheringtons, I could, they just...
we will talk about that.
Yeah.
I pretty much agree. I feel like the whole thing felt more safe. It was less special to me, and maybe that's just it's going to happen between season 1 and season 2, but that that female gaze was not as strong because obviously it's not telling a story about a female character anymore. And I don't know, it just wasn't as special to me as season 1, but I still gave it a 7 out of 10. I still enjoyed it. Yeah. And when he would like breathe into her, that was so sexy. That was great.
It was. I'm like, wow. And I think maybe that's what they wanted. I was like, if your goal is to make me feel as tortured as they feel, like I do, like I'm tortured, like I'm in pain, like, and if they're in this much pain, like, oh my gosh, which he was, like they were in pain. So I felt for them. I did.
What about you, Natasha? What did you think about season 2 compared to season 1?
So that's the thing, right? So when you asked me about this, right, and I said I like season 2 better. So I think I like, I don't know. So I feel like for me, imagination's like the way to go, right? So I think when like Daphne and the Duke got together, it became less exciting for me because like I felt like their main obstacle was later on they had the whole marriage thing going on, right? But the idea of like the intimacy and all that was like overcome, right? They obviously desire each other and everything, and so like after a while, like when they were like doing it on the stairs or whatever, and I'm like, this is nice. But like I was like so it's like I think maybe it comes from being like a book reader or like a reader of romance novels, so I kind of like the delayed gratification because it kind of like leaves you on the edge of your seat, on the verge of toppling over. And and I felt like my heart was like beating so vigorously throughout, right? And every time, like every episode, I'm just waiting for the two of them to like stumble into some isolated dark space, and he's like breathing and she's breathing and there's all this hand porn, and I'm like, oh. I was like, dude, this is too much for my heart, Yeah, so
Yeah, we were all tortured, basically, is what it sounds like. by season
Yes.
2.
and I showed it to my husband, right? Because I had to share my excitement, and I showed it to him, and he was just like, okay.
Not the
like the
same.
like the scenes where the scene where he says, the things I could teach you, and I was like, boy. And I
Yeah.
showed it to my husband, he's like, what's
Yeah,
he
I'm
gonna
guessing
teach her?
Anne, your
Like,
husband
you're
was not
useless.
interested in Bridgerton.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, he's not. I told him that he's very good. He's a musician, or I shouldn't say he's a musician. That's a very intense term. He grew up playing instruments. He has a very attuned ear. So I
Yeah.
was like, you would be so good at like guessing all these songs that they're playing these instrumentals to. Like if he was watching with me, that would probably be like a fun thing for him to like try to be a Shazam to like, oh, this is the instrumental to
Yeah, that was
this
fun.
modern song. He's very good at that. So I think that's like the only part he would enjoy. But I did play some of them for him from YouTube and see if he could guess. So
I do love that listening to. It's probably one of my favorite things to like background music is to listen to the Bridgerton soundtrack. I haven't really gotten to the season 2 soundtrack yet, but I want to. But I love that. It's so fun.
It's really good. Yeah.
Mhm. We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
I actually have now read both of the books, season 1 and season 2. And it is very different, the second book. And I know a lot of people said that in their comments and things, but there really isn't the whole Edwina being engaged. That whole thing isn't in the book. And it's more of a traditional a marriage of convenience kind of thing. And are they really going to like fall in love because he's a rake, which I always love that. The good old English rakes. But yeah, like so like scenes like the library scene is very different in the book because they're engaged.
And the bee scene.
The bee scene.
So Rachel, you're saying in the book there's not 5 almost kisses that was like making me want to stab my eyes out.
No,
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, 5 Netflix, 5. That's just mean. Like that's mean. Like I was like, y'all, please.
They get married after the bee thing.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
And you think that she would learn to like be putting on more perfume or something like that, because the way he's like lilies. But
so good.
But yeah, you think it was a mistake to reveal Lady Whistleton at the end of season 1?
I do.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it would have just, I don't know, they evolved it into obviously a big part of the plot of this season, but I think it would have been more fun if we'd been guessing.
Yeah, it just seemed like, I remember when they did it, I was like, this is unnecessary. Like, why? Like, why do I mean, I guess I watched Gossip Girl and you don't find out until like the last episode of the entire show, which is like 6 seasons. So I was like, oh, we're going to have to wait. And then they just like tell you. And I was like, oh, this is not fun. I wish you could wait a little longer.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I guess it's because they knew it was going to play a big part, I guess, in season 2, which is why I guess they revealed it. Yeah. I mean, I knew who it was already because I read the books, right? So Yeah, but I was because my brother was watching it as well. Yeah, he's probably
Isn't
the only
Penelope's
man
book
I know who appreciates Bridgerton.
isn't Penelope's book the fifth book?
I think it's the fourth.
Oh, the fourth. Okay.
Maybe the fourth, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's Daphne, Anthony, Benedict, and I think Colin.
I really hope they skip over Benedict's book. I could care less about Benedict's book. Benedict's story.
Benedict's a simple guy. His love story is quite simple. Yeah, like I think when there's more stakes, when there's more conflict, it becomes a little bit more fun to read. You know,
Yeah.
if it's just a little bit like too easy,
Yeah.
then. But yeah, it's a sweet book, but it's not my favorite.
Well, let's talk about episode 1. And this is where we have Eloise getting super nervous about being presented before the queen. But then she's interrupted by the latest dispatch from Lady Whistledown. And this is where Anthony and Kate meet. And in this episode, we also have Edwina being named the diamond of the season by the queen. And so that's why Anthony decides that he wants to marry her. And what did you think of Eloise in this season, her kind of story? What do you think, Natasha?
I actually didn't really like the whole Pen versus Eloise kind of thing that they kind of did. I understand why they did that, I guess for some kind of conflict, maybe to help in a future character arc or something like that for both of them, because they go on to have their own stories. But I don't know, it just felt like, why? Because I mean, Eloise, like, I guess she's growing up, right? So then her taste changed, right? So she went from liking Lady Whistledown to not really liking her, and then becoming quite critical of her. But I do think the discussion is interesting because it's like, when they think of Lady Whistledown, it's like a gossip sheet, right? It's a scandal, like, a gossip kind of column, right? And then Eloise is talking about all these like loftier ideas, right? About the rights of women and whatever. So I guess it kind of makes it kind of interesting, right? Like, like the kind of writing or the kind of things that we read, and how they're kind of judged against each other, right? Is it less, stimulating because it's a
It felt
gossip
kind of
thing?
part of a different show though to me, because again,
Yeah,
this show has
yeah,
been such about fantasy and sort of bringing in like women's rights and
yeah,
things like that. Felt a little bit out of place
yeah.
for me with Eloise, and then the whole thing that we get with her and Theo. And I don't know.
Yeah.
What did you think about Eloise, Anne?
Yeah, I didn't really like, I really liked her and Penn's friendship. So I really didn't like that was kind of, they were coming at odds against each other, and just kind of what that brought. I didn't mind the stuff with Theo. I thought it was kind of interesting because like obviously they're from totally two different classes, which like you said, Rachel, this show doesn't really address. So I guess that kind of felt like, oh, a normal part of a period show. But something that Eloise needs to learn about. Like, people are not all like you. Like, many people have to like survive. And I don't know. I thought that part was interesting, definitely compared to the stuff with Penn that I didn't like.
Yeah. So Kate decides that she hates Anthony because she hears him say that he doesn't care if he loves his wife, that he's going to get married no matter what. And so then she decides that she hates him. And, that starts their sort of enemies to lovers, I guess. But the whole time I kept feeling like if he wants to marry Kate, why doesn't he just marry Kate? Why is he going through all of this? Because it's not like, aside from the fact that Edwina is the diamond, it's not like there's a whole lot of difference between the two of them as far as social stats or something like that. They're the same. So just marry the you want to
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's his
Yeah.
baggage, right? His emotional baggage, because he saw what his mom went through when his father died, and he
Mm.
never wanted to be, I mean, I think it's kind of painful to watch your mother suffer so much, right? And,
Yeah.
from love, right? From being in love, right? And I think he never wanted someone to be on the receiving end of that, and he never wanted to feel something
Yeah.
like that if
That
the
loss.
person, yeah, because I mean he's experienced it on that level before with his father, right? It devastated him, and I think it was difficult to kind of recognize that, maybe I have to put myself first, right? Sometimes it's worth the risk, you know yeah, it was quite sad, I felt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in episode 3, but yeah, I agree. And poor Lady Bridgerton, I mean, Daphne was angry at her for not teaching her the ways of marriage. And then Anthony's angry at her for being in love with her husband. And I mean,
Yeah.
poor woman.
I know.
We also get the arrival of Jack Featherington, and he is basically a scoundrel. Yeah, we kind of mentioned it, or you talked briefly about it, but pretty much everything with the Featheringtons this season was bleh.
Yeah.
We all agree.
I mean, it just seems like a Cinderella story, and I don't know. I just feel because the way they talk so bad about Penn, it's like she's Cinderella, then it's like the mother's like the step, and then they're the daughters are, and then this guy, I'm just like, okay, this is so overdone, and I just don't care about that storyline.
Yeah.
You almost forget that it was even there. Like when I was preparing my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, Jack.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I didn't like it. I didn't like every time it kind of went to this secondary plot, I was like, oh
You're like,
God.
oh.
Yeah. But I understood. I think generally the show is trying to kind of talk about women's issues, or, that happened back then, right? Because I think the thing that the Featheringtons are facing is that, what happens when a man leaves or when he dies, right? What happens to the women that get left behind, right? So
all
last
debt.
season we saw it with Marina, right? And, you know, and yeah, how devastating it can be. So I think, whatever she was doing, was all her scheming and all that was, really to kind of protect herself and her family. Yeah. And I mean, like, she doesn't have much options, right, as a woman, right? She's too, I guess, old to get married, to do anything, right? So they have to kind of depend on the kindness, of their cousin, right? And the moment he gets married, and that's out the window as well. So I
yeah, but they
kind of
think, but it
understood
turns
it,
out
but
their cousin Jack is destitute too, and he's thinking that if he gets a relationship with one of the Feathertons, then that will save him. But it turns out not the case.
no, he has to marry rich.
Yeah, but they think that he is rich.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we have episode 2, which is definitely, in my opinion, the most forgettable episode.
Yeah, it was.
There was very little that happens episode 2. Colin comes back. Benedict goes to art school.
Colin.
Eloise is trying to figure out who Lady Whistledown is. They go to the horse races, and we get our introduction to Madame Delacruz. So she's a dressmaker. She catches Penelope at the market, and so she says, "What were you doing there?" And then they in the next episode they become partners basically in the whole scheme of Lady Whistledown. But that's basically it. There's like not a whole lot to talk about with episode 2. And then episode 3, so this is a big episode, probably one of the best episodes of the season, where we get the flashback to Anthony's father's death by a bee sting, and his just helplessness in watching that. That was very well done, and does a lot to build up his character. Anthony's character.
It added so much, and it helped build understanding of why he is the way he is, and I thought it was very important and well done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a character appear for such a short time, like the father, and have such impact. The acting was spot on. my God, it's like I cried. I was so sad, I could
Mhm.
feel like everything. I could feel her agony. I could feel Anthony's pain, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, I mean, they really brought it, yeah.
We also get our first introduction to Pall Mall. Pall Mall,
Yeah, I love it.
which is basically like croquet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and Kate and Anthony have a spirited game of Pall Mall, followed by a whole scene in the woods while he's trying to get his ball.
Yeah.
And
That was
good.
funny. It was good.
Rachel was there, innuendo.
Yeah. Hey, I gave the mature warning at the beginning of this podcast.
You did. No, but I
Uh,
like that whole scene. I thought that was so funny. And
That
like
was
they're
so
actually like
cute.
smiling and like having fun for
Yeah.
like a second instead of just being so so
Yes. And like I said, Madame Delacroix becomes part of Penelope's scheme, and that they're going to be sending messages to each other through dresses, basically, is what they're going to do. And then Kate gets stung by a bee, and that near kiss is one of the best of all the near kisses.
it is. It's
Yeah.
very good because you are like on the edge of your seat, like, oh my gosh, it's broad daylight. He's touching her chest. Oh my God, what's gonna happen?
And then you fall off the chair.
And then you're like, oh no.
And I think it does help by the fact that in season 1, that Daphne and the Duke were caught in a very similar moment, and they had to get married,
Yeah.
as a result. And so we know that there are consequences if somebody sees them.
Yeah.
Then, but I don't know
Dude.
if there would be that big a difference between him breathing her versus actually being caught kissing. I think it's basically
Yeah.
would be the same, but
Probably in that time, it'd probably be the same.
yeah.
I guess.
This is where it deviated, right? Because like for me, I was like expecting this scene because this scene is the pivotal scene in the book, right? And in the book, it's more compromising,
Mm.
and then that's why they have to get married, right? Yeah. But I always thought that it was a bit awkward. So I kind of like how they changed it up in the adaptation. They
Yeah.
kind of made it more emotional, kind of poignant, right? And yeah,
They
I guess because
really-
yeah.
Their chemistry,
They
like
have
you said,
great
Anne.
chemistry.
Woo!
Like really good chemistry, which Rachel knows. Chemistry is the most important thing. Like if something has good writing, like I don't really care if there's not good chemistry. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't really like it just makes me mad because I'm like, well, this writing's good, but the chemistry's so bad that I don't care. So,
Which is so
really good
frustrating.
chemistry is really important.
Yeah. It must be so frustrating to have all of your pieces together and I'm sure on paper it seems like, oh, these two will have chemistry. I guess that's why you really need your chemistry reads, because
Yeah.
sometimes it just isn't working. And it as a producer, it must be so frustrating when that happens,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's just like this intangible.
Mhm.
But
yeah.
so
They
then
were
episode,
presenting like an
what's-
award together, the two of them. And there was still chemistry there. I think it was the
Oh, really?
BAFTAs or something.
Mm.
Yeah. And she looked amazing. So
Yeah.
what there was
Jeez.
like, yeah, there was this moment where they came up and they presented the award and they looked at each other and I'm like, this is real life, but they still have it, in real life as well.
Aw.
So
we should
it's
probably
good,
say
yeah.
too that the diversity is not in the novels. That's
Yeah.
added.
Mm.
Yeah.
So if people are kind of going to this expecting that, they'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
That's a new thing. Anyway, episode 4 is a pretty iconic one as well. We have Kate and Anthony going on their hunt, and we get some pretty swoon-worthy scenes there in the hunts.
Are you talking about the thigh?
I always love it in a romance when you get the lean over, like if someone's baking or something, like, and then the person like leans over to show them how to do it or whatever, and is like way more intimate than they have to be to like show them how to do something.
Yeah.
But I
Rachel,
love it.
what
I
kind
live
of
for it.
romance?
And that's what
you've been watching.
excuse to make contact. Like this is, and you could tell it's an excuse to make contact with
Yes.
this person.
Yeah, and I'm here for it, and I love it.
Is
I do
there
too.
innuendo? I think that's the question. He's like, this is an English gun.
Yeah, it's different. I need to show you how to handle this gun. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a gun to me, but okay.
Yeah. So then we have the Colin visiting Marina, and I don't even know that they needed this. I don't understand. Like, I guess they wanted to close off that bow, but I didn't need them to.
I think they needed to acquaint us with Sir Philip,
With who?
the Marina's husband.
Oh,
Is he gonna come in later?
Yeah, in some so I think that's the reason why
maybe
they
that's
set it out. Yeah.
Okay.
But it felt really weird on a narrative point, because it's like, why are you doing this, Colin? Yeah, but I guess it's also for us to kind of see how he looks at the world. He's still kind of naive about things, right? And he's still very into the whole idea of being this dashing, suitor who can kind of rescue a woman. So he always feels like he has to play that part, right? So I guess it's part of his arc, but it was like I mean, it was kind of funny because Marina's like, can you like leave? And he's like, oh, I'll stay for dinner. And
I know.
yeah.
You're weird, Colin. Yeah.
We get two pretty iconic scenes, two near kisses in this episode, with Daphne interrupting Kate and Anthony in the study, I guess. And that's pretty good. They're pretty close.
They were pretty. It was like this. I was like, oh my gosh, like their mouths are like this close. Like Daphne didn't come. It was gonna be. It was the middle of the night. Nobody was awake except for Daphne. Or no, it wasn't. Was this the middle of the night? No.
No.
That's also then we get the library scene.
Okay,
this, and this after he proposes to Edwina, and because they have a big fight, him and Kate.
Made me so mad.
Oh my god!
Propose to this girl. I was like, please don't do this. Please don't. And
I'm like, just propose to Kate. She's the one you like.
Like you clearly like this woman. Like just propose to her. Don't like go propose to her sister when proposals and this time is like marriage. Like really, please don't do it. Like
he like doubles down. I'm like, why? Like Daphne's like, yeah, you got this, right? I think she had like a complete different idea of how the talk went. She's like, he's gonna do the right thing, and then the next moment he's like,
and then he's like, oh yeah, I got this. I'll make sure I marry a woman who can't hurt me because I don't care about her. Like, and I'm just like, Anthony, please.
Yeah, and I felt bad for Edwina because she was very sweet.
Yeah,
and I guess
she likes him so much. So.
They're setting up with her and the prince, I guess, but I wish they'd given her even more of a soft place to land, I guess. Felt kind of bad for her with all of this.
I did too.
Mm-hmm. I think it's she's so sweet. And I think at this point, right, I was like, how is everything going to be resolved? Because like if anyone breaks off the engagement, it's going to be a scandal, right? And then if Edwina, I mean, when she finds out, she's going to be like really hurt. So I was like, oh my god, like like how is it going to like like I was really like
it's only because of the queen. That's the only reason it all works out. But we also get Jack and Prudence are forced into this engagement by Lady Featherington.
Oh my
god. And we find out that Jack is penniless and his ruby mines are worthless.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Episode 5, we have that the Queen has sponsored the wedding. So we find out about that. And then the most important thing about this episode is we have Anthony getting all wet.
Oh,
Yes, that's the
for a
most
moment
important
I was
part
like,
of
what?
It is the most important part of this.
I was like,
Thank
was
you,
Rachel watching
Bridgerton.
like a bootleg version I did not see
No.
about
When
Anthony?
he gets all wet at the party, and then she's like Kate's like to Edwina, don't look as impolite to stare, and then she's
Staring. Yes,
We were all
that's right.
staring.
Someone
And
made
why was
sure-
he angrily removing his clothing in the water?
I know.
Thank you. I mean, it definitely reminded everybody of course, Mr. Darcy getting out of the water
Yes,
in Pride and
yes.
Prejudice.
Yes.
That's iconic.
Yeah.
And
There's obvious parallels, right? I feel even the language that he uses, it felt very like P&P sometimes.
And
Yeah.
somebody made sure that shirt was very sheer. That was
Yeah.
someone's job, and they succeeded at that job.
Yeah.
We could see his body.
Well
Imagine,
done. Thank you,
like, yeah.
Jonathan.
Like to-do list, agenda of the day. Make sure Jonathan
Yeah.
Bailey's shirt
Yeah,
is sheer.
We have 7 shirts. We're gonna wet them all and see. You can see through it.
Yes. So that was definitely one of the most iconic moments of the season for sure.
Yeah.
So then we also have Eloise. This is when she meets Theo, going to the rights meetings. And we have a big scene in this episode with the Sheffields coming to dinner. So basically, Kate's plan is that she will get Edwina married off to somebody of status, and the Sheffields will bequeath their will basically give her a dowry. And I don't know if she just hasn't really talked about that with them, because they come to dinner and it does not go well.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
plan just gets completely messed up.
Yeah.
And so then Anthony's not sure if he should go through with the wedding because of this. And they have a fight about it.
Right. I mean, I thought he was using that as an excuse, because I thought, I think earlier his mom told him that, if the lady would to beg off, it would be okay, like we could understand, right? A gentleman can't break his word, right? Once he's given it. So I thought that he was kind of looking for an out,
Yeah.
Well,
He was, and then that's when Kate gets mad at him and says, "How
Yeah.
dare you
I'm like,
do this?" And he says, "Well, why do you hate me so?"
yes, and then you get the most iconic line: "You are the bane of my existence and the object of all my desires." Sorry, I died.
It was
It was so
good.
good.
No, I died too. It was good.
And then we get Portia and Jack. They start scheming about the ruby mines, and they even kiss, and that was weird.
That was weird.
Yeah, and
Oh,
he's gonna start getting all of their friends to donate to the mine. And we also have there's like a little subplot with Anthony and his friend who owns like a gentleman's club.
Oh yeah.
You know, that whole
yeah,
thing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So episode 6, basically Daphne tries to convince Anthony to be honest about his feelings, but he decides to go through with the wedding. But then the wedding is going on, And what did they drop? She dropped something. Anyway,
she had those
they,
bangles.
Yeah, she
Oh,
dropped
yeah.
the bangles.
they have their long look, and Edwina's like, "What is this long look?" And
Yeah.
Where have I been for the past 5 episodes?
yeah,
It's so sad because she's always asking them to like kind of go together.
Yeah,
Just like dance with
him.
him.
Oh, hunt with him. Oh, I'm like, girl, if you only knew what you
well, and then later, I this might even be in the next episode. I can't remember when she's like, has this always been happening and I haven't noticed it?
Yeah.
When they're like, when something happens in the next episode and they stand up and then they're like close to each other and then they're just looking and she's just like, how could I have been like on another planet? Yeah.
And they want her to go through with it, and he says, "Oh, I will still go through with it, but you got to give Edwina some credit," where she was like, "No, thank you."
Yes.
Yeah. I think at that point it could only be her that could do that, Anthony, the idiot, was just gonna keep doubling down, right? I mean, because he had this whole like, I'm a gentleman thing, right? And the moment he's given his word, he can't like, rescind it, right? So he's like stuck, so she's the only one who can kind of make the mature decision for the both of them, which is,
Right.
yeah.
And so then we get finally our kiss in the church at the end.
I was like fireworks going off in my mouth. Thank God, this is taking so long. Oh.
Which I thought was quite symbolic, like in the church, for the first time. Yeah, I was not expecting it actually to happen because they've been teasing us so much, right?
Mhm.
And I thought we were gonna have a lot of like deep breathing again. I was like,
God,
it's like,
All right, episode 7. Basically, now all of the Bridgertons are shunned from society after the failed wedding. And the queen is upset, of course, but she thinks that Eloise is Lady Whistleton. And she gives Eloise 3 days to come clean and admit that she's Lady Whistleton. So then Penelope decides that if she, as Lady Whistleton, slanders Eloise, then that way the queen will know that, oh, it's not actually Eloise. So she does this, and she says that Eloise is a political radical, and she's been spending all this time with Theo and everything, and it kind of works, her plan, but she's obviously very torn about doing this.
I feel there were better ways. Like I think I don't know, it didn't feel right to me. I feel like they were going through so much, and she knew what it would be, right, if she did this. I felt like there were like,
I wonder if she should have just admitted to the queen that she is Lady Whistleton.
Yeah,
I mean, because I think that the queen is not going to punish her, right? The queen just wants to know. She's just a busybody gossip, and she wants to know. So if she told the queen, there you go. That's the end is opposed to doing this, but that's what she decides to do. She says it's the only way, in her mind at least. What do you think, Anne?
Yeah, I mean, I know that in her intention was, I want to protect my friend. But I was just like, I was just like, there has to be a better way to do this. Like, because I think you said, the queen, she's just tired of not knowing. Like, she just wants to know.
Yeah. And she wanted like an ally, right? I think that was her whole like point, right?
Yeah.
She wanted to like steer the conversation
the writing.
Again.
Yeah, exactly.
So they decide to throw a ball to try to win over everybody's favor, but nobody goes to the ball. And we get our big bang bang moment with Kate and Anthony in the gazebo.
Wow.
Lord, Rachel. Bang bang indeed.
It was.
Damn,
it was good.
Yeah.
You and your orders.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was funny. When they were talking to each other before.
Oh god, that was so good. That was top tier.
I mean, it was nice that they had that gazebo all set up and ready to go.
Yeah.
That was
like,
very smart.
I found it so strange, like no one was wondering about, like
that was.
Could have been an awkward moment for like the gardener.
Yeah.
But it was nice that they had like a full-on bed outside of the gazebo with multiple pillows and everything.
I know that
But I was totally into it. It was great.
Yeah.
was
It was really good. And after that, like the flashbacks. Top tier.
Oh,
when
the
she goes
flashbacks
inside.
to the that
Yeah.
was good.
I was like, I thought it ended, right? And I was like, oh. Like, oh, there's
we
more.
get some more peaks. Yeah. I did really like the scene right before that too, when they were talking around the statue and whatever that museum,
that's
whatever
good.
that thing was, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Are you quite serious?" And she was like, "Yes, like we should be ashamed of what we did." And he just kind of looks. But I appreciated that she said that, because I was like, yeah, like if I was her, like I would feel really, really bad about like doing that to my sister's, person. But so I appreciate that she, just that she said that. And I like the way he said, "Are you quite serious?" Like she was like insane or something. And then bam.
Yeah, it was so good. Like when my last shred of honor snaps. When are we going to do something actually for ourselves?
Go inside.
Go
inside.
What about you and your orders?
What have I told you? Yeah, like that. It was really good. The writing was good. The dialogue was good. And then the whole scene was great.
Yeah.
Much steam. A lot of,
Yeah. We needed it. We needed the steam. And then she gets in a horseback riding accident. He rescues her, brings her inside. And now we're into episode 8. So this is the finale. And the Featheringtons decide to host a ball. And this is basically Portia's scheme, is that they're going to get all these investments that night from their friends and things. And Benedict and Colin almost invest, but they don't because of this friend. And then, but Benedict gets upset that Anthony basically got him the art school position. I'm like, why do you care about that? Like, that's just a classic of, I'm so rich, it's not fair. And that's never my favorite plot.
Yeah. It's a blow to his pride, but Anthony knows he loves it and he just wants him to be able to do it. And so he's just trying to help him, but his pride is hurt. And so he's just,
Yeah. And I mean, the other people validate him. They're like, you do have it, right? So I was like, why are you so upset? Like, okay.
So then Kate awakens from the coma, and Anthony proposes to her.
It's the most glamorous coma ever.
Yeah.
So she thinks that he's just doing it because they had their moment, but he's not, and he's just devastated about the whole thing, obviously, and thought that she's going to die. And then we have this big fight between Eloise and Penelope. And then that's when Eloise realizes that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. And so, and I can understand why Eloise is so upset.
I mean, like after the last the last piece. Yeah. But I thought Anthony's reaction when he found out she was okay was really so beautiful.
Yeah.
The way he reacted. Yeah. I was like,
he was moved. I mean, you could tell he was just so relieved.
Yeah.
And so, then Portia tricks Jack and takes all of the money that he's gotten invested and sends him off to America. So I still think she shouldn't have kissed him. That was weird.
That was just so awkward.
I was like, I guess they wanted to trick us, right? They wanted to make us think that she was falling for his charms, right? Yeah, when she was the player all along.
I didn't lie. We have Colin being very rude to Penelope in this, and saying that he would never be interested in her, and that made me sad.
I mean, he's not the catch.
No,
he's not that great.
I mean, I have a feeling though that they're gonna match them. I don't know. I haven't read Penelope's books. Maybe not.
Only Natasha knows. So.
Yeah, don't tell us. But anyway, I didn't lie. I was mad at him for doing that.
I was too. I didn't like
We get a dance between Kate and Anthony, and then the queen says that we're canceling the canceling the wedding was her idea. Was my idea.
Yeah.
So they kind of save her from that. And they kind of save the family, and then we get Kate and Anthony, and he says, "I love you." Oh, that was great.
That
Ah,
scene was really good. And
yeah.
outside and yeah, it was so
You
good.
do not have to accept it. You do not have to like it. You do not have to
Yeah.
approve. Knowing you probably won't.
Yeah, so great.
And
so
I just
good.
loved it when he like touched his heart, and
Yeah.
it was great.
Jonathan Bailey is so good. He
Yeah.
did such a good role as like the romantic tortured hero.
Mhm.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very good, and hopefully we'll get him in season 3. Because we lost the Duke in season 2, and they tried to kind of just have Daphne there with the child, and with the stuff like that, and so they didn't like kill him off like Downton Abbey or something, but still, I mean, I'd like to see more of them in season 3.
Yes.
I mean, I
They
feel
did,
like
yeah.
they kind of have to show them because like he's supposed to be like the man of the house, and now he kept saying how my wife will be running this house and taking care of all these people, mom, like she has to be blah 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 blah. So I'm like,
Yeah.
they like really have to like show them at least some, because they're supposed to be like doing all this stuff at the house or whatever. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be fun if they give Lady Bridgerton a romance. Don't you think that would be fun?
Mhm.
Like someone older.
They might, right?
Yeah.
They might do that.
They
That'll be
should.
interesting.
That
Yeah.
would be good.
I would like that.
Yeah.
And of course, then she says, "I don't know what to say," and I don't know what to say because I love you too. It was
Yeah.
so good.
Oh.
You're going to vex me every day.
Yeah, I love that. They just yeah.
It's so good.
They
Yeah.
just challenge each other so much.
And so then we get 6 months later, we have them married and having a good time.
Yeah.
And then
Lots of great times.
yeah, lots of great time. And
Yeah.
then we have some more Pall Mall to end off
Yes.
the episode. So
I was
Yeah.
like, how awkward would it be to be the sibling? And your siblings like full on making out. in front of
Yeah,
you.
that would be so weird. I would never do that. So weird.
yeah. Well, especially back then. I just
Yeah.
they didn't do
yeah.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
this is all
Yeah.
about escapism. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Like
so
I
sweet.
like I do this thing, right? Like when I'm speaking to my husband, sometimes I do like a cutesy voice. I don't mean to. I don't mean to. It just happens. And my brother will whack my head. He's like, stop it. You sound ridiculous. I can't imagine I was making out with my husband. It'd just be like, stop it.
yeah, you're like to your brother. Just watch Bridgerton. You'll know. You'll understand. That's funny.
Yeah, he's watched
so
it. Eh.
so
The
there
only
we
man I
go.
know.
That is the season. I guess we have ending thoughts about the season. I mean, I really hope instead of doing Benedict next, I really hope they do Penelope next, because I just think it would be so cool to, I mean, not only can finish your story, but you just don't normally see plus size actresses getting a leading romantic role, and
Yeah.
especially in something like this. And I just think that would be super escapism and really fun. And I love Nicole Coughlan. I think she's great. So I would love to see that. And
Yeah.
it would also be really funny because she would have Dairy Girls season 3 coming out the same time as Bridgerton season 3, which I absolutely love that show. It's definitely not Hallmark approved, but it is so funny. And I just love her. She's great. And anyway, I would be happy if season 3 was Penelope's story, but who knows?
Yeah.
I guess we'll get a sad art student story.
I guess it's whether or not they can kind of deviate from the formula, right? Because it's called
Mhm.
Bridgerton, right? And we're supposed to follow like the love stories of the siblings. So like
Yeah, that's true. But she does have a
so
book. Penelope.
She does. So
Yes. So you can do it.
I mean,
Anyway,
you don't
we'll
want me to
see.
say.
I don't know. We'll see how Benedict's story, I guess, turns out. But anyway, what do you have any parting final thoughts, Anne?
I just their chemistry, it was just everything to me, and it just made everything work so well, even though I was in so much pain. They were so great. I just love them, and I hope to see them together next season. I think that Simone Ashley and the other actress, I don't know her name, Edwina's, they are both just so beautiful. Like, wow, like, oh my gosh, they are just stunning. They just looked amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really enjoyed this season. Like, for the most part, like, season 1 is still my favorite, but I still really enjoyed this season. And God bless the person who saved us from those mutton chops this season.
Yes.
I wasn't gonna make it. I wasn't gonna be able to look at his face for 8 episodes with those things. So thank you, whoever decided that was a good note. Season 1 note, that one approved. Less
Probably the
steam, not
same.
approved, but mutton chop list approved.
The same person who approved the shirt.
Yeah,
the
that's
same
right.
one.
It probably was
God
the same
bless
person.
you.
Yes, thank you.
It's Charithra Chandran is Edwina.
Okay,
Yeah, she was great.
She's great and
She's
so
really good.
stunning.
Yeah.
And
I hope we get her in the Prince.
I hope so too.
Yes.
I would like
I love the Prince.
I want to see
I
her
love
be
him.
happy, after everything she went through. I would like to see her see where she lands and see her happy with someone.
Yeah.
Well, do you have parting thoughts, Natasha?
I think the only thing I guess is left to say is that I really like, because I'm Indian myself, right? And I really like appreciated seeing like a South Asian person in like a leading role and leading romantic role in a period film, a period-ish kind of TV show, because I don't know, it made me felt really, really like it was nice. And when I heard like, when they use certain songs, like there was the mention of Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, they used like some theme song from that Hindi film, and I mean, I grew up watching these shows, so it kind of made me feel happy to see someone. I mean, I don't look like that. I was gonna say someone who looks like me, but I don't look like that. But it was great, I'm happy to see that we're coming to a point where dark skin can be appreciated. It can be beautiful, right?
Yeah. I think that was really nice too, and it just adds to the escapism. I think it's just it's really good. So, well, Natasha, how can people follow you and your content?
The question is now, would they want to follow me?
No, you all should.
After my
Absolutely.
shenanigans. You can find me on Twitter at litmysoul, LITMYSOUL, or you can kind of read my content on Cultured Vouchers. I write mostly for the film section, but I do TV, and then there's a lot of other stuff we have as well, like TV, books, wrestling, and games, and books. Yeah.
We'll have that all in the description. You all should definitely check it out. And Anne, how can people follow you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at awscott21.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please take a look at all of that, including all of my links for my reviews for both seasons in the description. I would love for you to check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews, 5 stars. That helps us so much. We really appreciate it. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so take a look at that. And thanks so much, ladies. This was a blast. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.